This is the most horrific attack that I think anyone could possibly imagine. What have you made of the community's response so far?
Deep shock, utter disbelief. Not much you can actually say about it. There's no words that would describe, I think, the emotion of the local community. The community has pulled itself together and is trying to support itself, but it's a complete shock.
You can see behind you that there are hundreds of bunches of flowers now elsewhere down the road at the other end of the cordon. It's a similar situation. You say the community has come together and as it does in Merseyside, we've seen it so many times before. How does a community, how do they get over this? How do they, get through this grief?
I don't think a community ever gets over the grief, but you just start to live with it and cope with it. There are a lot of, if anybody is struggling, there's a lot of people you can talk to, like Samaritans and people like that, and also talk to your local relatives and your people next door to you. Be open about it. I think that's the best way of dealing with it, and Merseyside is good at being open about things and not bottling it up.
Now, Southport is obviously a seaside town. I think a lot of people in the northwest, but the rest of the UK, will have really fond memories of. I know I certainly do. This just isn't something that happens in Southport, is it?
I've never known anything like it, and I never.
How long have you worked, at the Southport Reporter, just so our viewers know?
About 20 years. And we've never had anything like this. I've lived in the area all my life and we've never had anything like this. It's just horrific.
I think a lot of people will be left reeling by the sheer scale of it. I mean, there are 3 families in Southport today grieving the loss of their child, 3 dead now, but there are also others that are critically wounded, those 2 adults as well who are injured, trying to protect the children. I think a lot of people will be shocked at how many there are, and it seems to be a bit of an epidemic now, doesn't it? Knife crime, not just in the northwest but in the entire UK. What can we do to try and tackle this issue?
That's the million-dollar question. Knife crime is getting worse and worse and worse, but it's like all crime. Everything's on the increase. I think it's just we need better understanding of the causes of the crime to deal with it. We need to know what's going on behind the scenes, what is causing people to go that way. There's so much tension, there's so much stress in society. That could be part of it. I don't know. I'm not an expert. You'd have to ask somebody who is. And to be 100% honest, I don't think anybody is an expert on this side. There's not going to be an easy fix.
Well, of course, Yvette Cooper, the Home Secretary, was here earlier today. She laid flowers alongside Serena Kennedy and the MP for Southport as well. Is there anything you think any of those bodies could do, the government, the police, MPs in general, is there anything they can do?
It needs looking at, but at the moment I think the best bet is to actually look after each other and care for each other and try to get over the shock as to what's happened at the moment and then work from that.
I just want to ask you one final question, Patrick. This, of course, is a truly heartbreaking time for those families. If you had a message for any of those families today who are grieving, of course we're seeing, as we have all day, people now coming to lay flowers. If you had a message for those families, what would that message be?
The whole community is thinking about you. We are heartbroken. There's no words in our vocabulary that can actually get across the grief the community is feeling, and I'd not like to think about what those families are going through.